everyone. Welcome back to Womansplain. Today we have an amazing guest, Madeleine Cohen. She is the founder of Nelle Atelier, a denim brand for petite women, which is awesome, which is amazing and we love. I'm going to pass it over her to do a little intro, and then we're going to dive into her story.
Thanks, Brooke. Thank you guys for having me. I'm Madeleine Cohen, founder of Nelle Atelier, born out of my own personal pain point, 5'1" on a good day. Needed pants that fit.
Yeah. I mean, I can relate. I'm like 5'2.5". I say 5'3", depending on the context. So
Correct.
it's so hard to buy
You can round
pants.
up.
So
yeah,
hard.
I always round up.
And look, as a tall lady on the other end, I also struggle a lot. Literally do not have pants that fit me in general. And I think every woman can understand how hard it is to try on jeans. Trying on jeans is horrible. Honestly, it is probably one of the worst mental experiences you can possibly have. You cannot feel good about yourself after you go to the department store and try on 20 pairs. So
This is a great setup for me.
so it's I think every woman 5'1" to 6 feet, whatever, 4 or
totally.
5 can understand.
Denim is actually the second hardest category to fit after swim.
Oh.
I believe
bathing
that.
suits are brutal, followed by jeans.
That makes sense.
Bathing suits, yeah, those are the two that it's really hard to buy online too. Very,
Totally.
very hard. Very hard. So, obviously have created an incredible brand and many women need it. Would love to, I know you had a long career before you started now, in wellness and fashion and branding. Would love to maybe just learn a little bit about your background and how that led into founding your company.
Yeah, totally. So I started my career at Estée Lauder. I was in a rotational program there, rotated through different brands, regions, functions for about 18 months. Eventually landed on the omnichannel strategy team right when that was the buzzword of the moment. I'm going to date myself 12 years ago, 11 years ago.
But you look great.
Thanks. And we were building e-com tools, white label tools to bridge wholesale and e-com. Because at the time they had a super heavily concentrated wholesale business, very little consumer data on the direct to consumer front. And that was in the midst of that shift.
It was super hot at the time.
Super hot at the time. So learned a lot, learned how to function in a gigantic organization, met amazing people who I'm lucky to say are my mentors, advisors, and investors today.
Amazing.
Which I think is really special. I worked on this project. We redid the employee store and brought it online for the whole group. And it was kind of like building my own thing with my boss at the time. And that's sort of when I got bit by the bug. So when it was time to go, I was like, okay, I need to go somewhere smaller. I joined Casper. I was there through post IPO.
I love Casper.
I love Casper too.
I had a Casper
Still
mattress.
sleep on a Casper
Yeah,
mattress.
I still have it.
That
I
is
still have
2018 lore in
That-
New York City,
yeah.
though. Literally everyone 2018 to 2020 had
Totally.
a Casper mattress.
You had a
didn't
Casper
we?
mattress. You were wearing Everlane.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were eating
Well.
at Dig-In.
Oh my
You know, it
gosh.
was just
Bring
Class
that back,
it was
honestly.
the
99
zeitgeist.
dollars.
That's what was going on,
Oh
and
my
it was
God.
so much
Yeah.
fun.
And
Honestly,
it was such a hot startup.
it was such a hot startup. It was so well funded. We really had a great time. So I was on the team that helped kind of conceive the retail experience.
Oh, sick.
So they basically, when I joined, they were like, okay, we did a proof of concept, the store that's still on Broadway.
Yeah, I've been there. It's great.
And now we need to roll this out across the country because there's a generation of people who are not going to want to buy a mattress from the internet. They're going to want to try it on. So I was kind of part of this three-headed dragon of this team. One was a design researcher, one was an interior, had an interior design background, store design background, and I was kind of keeping the machine moving. We ended up opening 52 stores in a year.
Wow.
It was crazy. I remember my third or fourth, maybe third month of work, I was in Atlanta. We didn't have a distribution center to send the inventory to the stores. So they sent pillows individually, as if they were going to the customer. So it's just me in the back office, with piles of UPS boxes of inventory and figuring all that out, whatever. So I did that for about a year and a half. Then I actually changed teams and ended up part of the merchandising organization.
Cool.
And that's where I learned how to make stuff. So I actually oversaw the whole product launch process, soup to nuts concept to omni-channel launch, which kind of ties back to what I first did. And so I basically worked with the designers, supply chain, finance, marketing, merch, everyone to kind of get it done. And I think that was the biggest thing probably in having the confidence to start my own company is I really understood how to actually make physical things.
And was it just mattresses?
No, by that point it was mattresses, soft goods, things that plugged into the wall. We had a lamp. We were making, I don't know if this ever launched, We made like a robe, like a
Oh,
comforter, a robe that looked like a comforter.
Cute.
Wow.
We had done like whatever. The assortment was huge and growing. So I was there for about 3 years total. And this was also in the midst of COVID. So at the beginning of COVID, I helped close all those stores that we had just opened, whatever. And by the end, it was like 2021, I think. And I was like, I gotta go. I gotta leave New York. I spent most of the pandemic here. And I was like, it's time I need to like see greener pastures. I'd always been LA curious. So a recruiter reached out to me and she was like, what about this job for a different Mark Cuban company? And I was like, no, this job's not a fit, but like, I'm actually open. New York or LA, like, may the best man win. That was kind of my energy. And she said, I think you should meet Max from Bala, because I guess they were looking. And so I met Max. We really got along. And they basically let me design my own job. So I was chief of staff. 6 weeks later, I'd moved to Los Angeles.
Oh my gosh. And Bala was super hot then too.
So
Bala
that was like
exploded in COVID.
Exploded in COVID, post Shark Tank. And they were basically professionalizing the business. Like it had grown so exponentially. So I joined them and I did like a whole host of stuff. I was super focused on product because that was obviously like where I was coming from. But like I opened their first pop-up in New York City, amongst many other things. I was there for about 1.5 years. And I got laid off because they talk about this very publicly.
Yeah, went bankrupt basically.
But they're back, which is awesome for them. Yeah, they're totally fine. They just had to like really pull back to be able to like continue. Which was a huge blow for me because it was like my dream job. Like I loved it. I'd moved my whole life to California.
You really designed it, like all the good parts of the job that you wanted.
Totally. I mean, it was like, I still say it was like, aside from founding Nelle Atelier, like probably the best job I'll ever have. And so it was kind of then that I was like, okay, I had never taken time off, like between jobs, nothing. I'd interned all through college, like from freshman year. I'd always worked. It's like, okay, I'm going to give myself 3 months to like figure out what's next. And I thought, okay, maybe I'll go be an operator in residence in venture capital.
Cool.
And I kept getting the feedback that I was more of an entrepreneur than an investor. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. But like, I need to have an idea. And I'm not even kidding you. It's like so silly to say. But one morning got out of the shower, looked in my closet. I lived in LA, had a huge closet. I don't have a huge closet anymore.
Say that is not like
no,
here.
No.
I heard you say that.
I went
very,
from like this
I don't know,
to
with
this.
a lot
very
of like
nostalgic.
wanderlust, and you're like,
my
oh my god, I wish.
I miss it dearly.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I have 30 pairs of jeans. I've always been into fashion, always into consumer, clearly. And I hate all of them. What's up with that? And I Googled best jeans for short girls. And I was like, okay, Gap, cool, Abercrombie, great. But like, I wanted something that fit in with the other brands in my wardrobe. And it wasn't available. So I texted my sister and I was like, what if I like was kidding. I was like, what if I started a denim brand for short girls? And like only a sister could say to you, she's like, well, you're not doing anything else. And that is literally what happened. And I was like, touche.
Is she older or younger?
Younger.
Okay. I was like, she's getting
younger.
eldest daughter over there. Okay.
So, and that's kind of what happened. Honestly, that's the long-winded answer. But I do feel like all the past experiences like definitely led me here. But that's the story.
And then
amazing.
How did you actually go on to start now? Like obviously like manufacturing, just
it's a great
figuring
question.
it out. It's very daunting.
I'm
so
gonna
what was
spill
the
all the
first?
tea.
Yeah, please.
So the first thing I did, so I had some friends from Bala that had like recently gone out on their own and started an ad agency. And I was like, hey guys, let's make enough of a brand for a pitch deck. And if I can raise the money, like we'll finish the work. And so I paid them in like a mix of a little bit of cash and some equity. So I did that. And then I happened to live in like the denim heartland of America. So LA is a center of excellence for denim production. So it wasn't so hard. I found a friend who like told me, oh, my friend actually just left this denim brand. I'm sure she can like help you. And so I spoke to this woman who like also is like I'm still very much in touch with her and is amazing. And she was like, okay, like this is what you do. This is the denim you need. This is who you need to talk to. This is the factory, yada, 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 yada. Oh my God. I actually started at one factory and the guy was ripping me off. And obviously I realized it at one point. He wanted to charge me like $600 for a sample because he thought I was like a clown. And I was like, no, I can't pay $600. And I started negotiating with him. And like I was in downtown, like in the boonies. in this like warehouse, and he like brought men, and it was like very scary. And so me and my girlfriend at the time, we like scurried out of there, and I was like, okay, so we can never show our face there again. That was like my first experience negotiating. And then
Good for you that you said no. I will say that, hey. I mean, like, I feel like I'd be like, okay.
I mean, he
I don't
made
know.
one.
Like, 600's not that crazy.
Yeah, 'cause
like,
you have no idea. You don't
I
know
have
the
no
comps.
idea.
for
Like,
sure. But I knew in my gut that like that was not
It was just like a
correct.
weird vibe.
Well, he was also like, he wasn't that like excited. Like he wasn't that into the whole
Oh.
thing. He wasn't that into me. I was kind of trying to like negotiate with him, whatever. He was not having it. So he had made one sample for us, and it was like objectively horrendous. And it would like looked like, I mean,
Crap.
I have it somewhere.
He literally he made some scrap from like
No,
another
he made it like
client.
it was just not. It was so far.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Mhm.
I don't know if we can bridge this gap.
Gap.
And so I scurried out of there, like a bat out of hell. And then I called Lauren back, and she hadn't sent me to him. Somebody else did. I can't even remember who sent me over there. And she was like, I've got a guy, tell him I sent you. And the rest is history. We're still with the same supplier. He's absolutely amazing. I would have no business without him. We have a great relationship.
That's amazing. Okay. And how did you go around, I don't know, designing the
I don't
first
design.
pair? Or like thinking
you're
about
right.
what the first pair was. I mean, obviously you were kind of your own model, I guess. You were like, I cannot find jeans. I'm 5'1".
Right.
So how did you, I don't know, start?
So I have a little bit of a merchandising background, so I
Okay.
kind of applied that. I thought about first and foremost, like, what are the gaps in my wardrobe? One of my investors told me that if you're building a tech business and it's something like, if it's something an office uses a spreadsheet for, you probably have a tech business. And on the consumer side, if there's a Reddit thread for it, it's a consumer business. And there's like a
Okay.
500,000 person Reddit thread about petite clothing.
Yeah,
And
totally.
like the inability to find clothes that
Yeah.
fit. So that was like kind of the first piece of validation. Then I looked at the gaps in my own wardrobe, and actually, and we've pivoted away from this, what I set out to do originally was 3 styles, wardrobe staples, basics. And that was our first collection. It was a boyfriend, like a straight leg, and a boot cut, like a flare, high-waisted flare. And what we quickly realized is we had like a super loyal customer and really high repeat at the beginning, like 40%, which is crazy
Oh my
for
God.
a baby brand that was like under a
Also
year
jeans.
old.
Like, I feel like,
Jeans and whatever, but it was such an underserved
Yeah,
market that they
crazy.
were like, oh my God, like I'm in, you know? And then for wholesale, they were like, we don't want basics from you. We need trend and we need whatever. And so we've done trend now in our way, like in a very kind of classic way. Like this is like a boxy crop jacket, but it still feels cool and fresh and not like a traditional,
Mhm.
but it's still, you know, what's cool right now, I would say. But yeah, so I basically said we need to make these 3 jeans. That's felt like the foundation of a denim wardrobe. One was black, one was blue. We had blue and we had blue and a gray, and then we had the boyfriend in the dark wash and the light wash blue. And that was what we launched with.
And did
Okay.
you always want to do denim and jeans, or did you just want to do like a petite clothing brand?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's something I think about a lot. So you need a different designer for every category. So that's a fun fact. So we have a wonderful designer now. At the time, I had found a technical designer on Upwork
Oh, wow.
who did the collection, and I still to this day can't believe we sold out of it, frankly. She did a great job too, but it was just like we're leagues away from that product today. Although I still get customers, when are you bringing the Emily back? When are you? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm never is the
Never.
answer. But like, glad you love it. They're like, these are the best jeans ever, and I was like, that's really nice. But we've come a hell of a long way.
Well, it was like your MVP, right?
It
Everyone's
was.
supposed to be embarrassed by their first thing they put out, right?
Literally.
Like, if you're not, that means you either haven't improved.
You waited too long.
Or
Yeah.
or you just haven't improved at all, and that's worse.
Right. So we're like constantly refining, I would say. And I also would say we probably like launched before we were ready. But anyways, it worked out, so that's good. And so to answer your question about expanding the assortment, it's something I think about a lot. We've done it and we've dabbled in it. I set out to start a wardrobe essentials brand, and I think that denim is the heart of that.
Mhm.
And then there's like a periphery of product around it that will come as we grow. specifically in separates and bottoms. So like button ups, like stuff like that, where like sleeve length matters, like placket placement matters, pockets matter. And then obviously like pants, trousers in like every fabrication, silk, linen. We did linen pants. We did a ready to wear capsule. We tried dresses. She doesn't want dresses from Nelle Atelier. Roger that. But like loves our button downs, loves our linen pants, we did like a slip pant, we did a traditional like trouser, but setting up that supply chain, we're basically bootstrapped. So setting up those supply chains and like all that infrastructure will have to come when we're more heavily capitalized.
Yeah.
And I mean, jeans are really tough, right?
Totally.
I mean, for a million reasons. A lot of the reasons are, even though I know you're specialized in petite women's bodies very widely. So how did you think about that when just starting, when you're like, how do I find something that petite women is a large market, but like is niche in some way? How can I also find something that will fit a lot of women with a variety of bodies, a variety of ages, and needs?
Totally. So we trade, like I told you earlier, we trade mostly in rigid denim. That's where I really saw the gap. So like in the very basic stuff, there you can buy a Gap and a J. Crew, and it's totally fine product. But where it gets a little bit more difficult is in these like more rigid, baggy, like wide leg styles, barrel styles, all of that stuff that requires a little bit more of a refined like fit process. Um, so yeah, so we really kind of focused on that. And then in terms of sizing, the bar was on the floor. So
Okay,
like
yeah.
as the consumer, it was like petite stuff ran so small.
Okay.
It was like people were having to size up 1 to 2 sizes every time they like whatever, which people hate sizing up. Or it just was like kind of matronly, like, Talbot's vibes.
Okay.
So what we were able to do, and we mostly actually my personal biggest issue, it's not that hard to hem jeans.
No.
If you're very particular like me, you're gonna get the original hem, because like all that fading and whatever, but like it's okay. Like it's okay. What's really difficult is the knee placement and the rise.
Okay.
That can't be altered once the jeans are finished.
Fascinating.
And so that was a lot of the work we did, and our customer got it immediately, because like I had women in tears in fitting rooms being like, I've never put on clothes that fit me this way before. And it was because of those changes, more so than obviously like there's pictures of me early days in our pitch deck with like, jeans cuffed up 12 inches just to like illustrate my point. I think people can use their imagination for that, but like when the waistband is around your rib cage and you can't breathe, that's like less fun.
Yeah, no, totally.
I'm sure you get it.
I get
all the
it. I
time.
get it.
Every single time I buy pants, I have to like cut 12 inches
For
from
sure.
it, and like I always have to spend money getting it hemmed. But okay, so then you have your first designer, you have your first products. Where are you selling it, and how are you even finding customers?
Totally. So we have still barely run any paid ads. It's mostly been organic growth. I've just started in January dabbling in like Google and search.
Which is
but
crazy because you've been around a while.
Yeah, we've been
And you're
at
a
it for
direct to
2
consumer
years.
company.
Yeah,
It's insane.
it's insane. We did a lot of PR and events. That was kind of the core of the strategy, and we did a bunch of influencer
Okay.
right out the gate. So we launched with an article in Vogue,
Wow.
which was huge.
And
How'd you
how
get
did
that?
happen?
We had a wonderful PR person
Okay.
Amazing.
support us through
Sick.
the launch. And it was so funny because I remember that I'll never forget this conversation as long as I live. She looked at me and she was like, "What's your dream publication for a launch article?" And I don't know what I was thinking, but that thought had not crossed my mind truly ever. Like I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna like put it on the internet." Like I was just gonna like turn the Shopify
You're like any
on.
article?
You
You're
know,
like, I don't know.
I was just kind of like, "What a question." Okay. And I can't remember what I said, but it was not Vogue. I said like, I don't remember what I said. I'm like kind of heady. I think I probably said like T Magazine or something. And she looked at me and she was like, "Babe, what about Vogue?" And I was like,
she's like, Vogue is the only.
she was like, "Vogue is the only answer." And I was like, sure. I didn't know that that was like on the menu,
Yeah.
but sure. And she did it. She pulled it off.
Wow.
The writer, fellow short gal, we
Love.
sent her the jeans beforehand. Oh my God. I remember scrambling to get her samples and whatnot. And she wrote a whole profile on the brand. And that was launch day.
Wow, amazing. And it's you launched the website.
We launched the website that day, and then we did a pop-up in New York. I was still living in LA at the time 2 weeks later. So we took over Eva Jones Repair, which was really fun. And we set up a denim bar and we did like influencers and press and we did the embroidery for them. And it was a funny day. It felt like a sample sale. They had like 2 fitting rooms. I didn't even like, oh my God, the chaos. I can like picture it in my mind. And people were just like trying on jeans. Like it was just women everywhere, jeans everywhere. It was like crazy. But everybody loved it and they loved their jeans and they created a ton of buzz. And then we had a we had customers the next day. So I think it was Friday. We did press and breakfast. And I remember we had like butter in the shape of jeans. It was really fun.
It's so cute.
It's really cute. It was really cute. And we had like a beautiful grazing table. And then yeah, we had customers the next day and like the swirl between the Vogue and the press preview influencer thing that we did. And then we sent out a ton of gifting too. So like in between those 2 weeks, basically, like we sent gifting to like people who we didn't think would come to the event. Like we sent to Katie Couric. Like we sent here, there, and everywhere. And yeah, that was kind of how we did it. But I credit a lot of the growth that we still benefit from to like that initial PR push.
Amazing.
And like the PR that we did in those like first 9 months.
And you're still D2C. You don't have a retail space.
We do not have our own store. We're on Nordstrom.com. And then we're in a couple indie retailers. And we're also on Bento, which is a rental platform.
Oh.
Yeah.
And we love them. It's a really cool business and great fit for us. They're a great customer of ours. Because petite's really tough if you're renting.
Yeah.
You can't hem it. So
Yeah, I can't rent anything, honestly.
you
Unless
can rent
it's
Nelle
petite.
Atelier on
Yeah.
Bento. But yeah, so that has ended up being a really nice fit for us, and we have like pretty nice business with them.
Jeans are tough. It's really hard. They're D2C jeans. How are you able to really like, I don't know, convince people to like take a risk on a brand new emerging brand jeans that are honestly kind of luxury, high end in
Totally.
the high end price range? And like, and obviously your customers went crazy for it, but how did you kind of bridge that gap and I don't know, have them take that risk? It's really tough.
Totally. It's a really good question. We're still figuring it out.
Yeah.
Candidly.
Yeah.
We were using a tool called Try Now for a while.
Okay.
Which basically lets customers check out for $0. We authorize their card. It's a Shopify like app integration that a friend of mine founded. And it was really, really good. It does like sort of increase returns in a way because it just inflates them, I guess. It doesn't increase them, it inflates them because people are ordering 4, maybe they're keeping 1. So it's just a lot of churn of the inventory. And when you have tight quantities like we do, it's like if it's all out there not being kept, it's not on the website and can't be sold. So I think it became a little bit challenging. So I've been working on a piece of fit tech too that will be proprietary to us to solve this problem.
Fascinating.
More to come.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean,
It's a huge issue.
Yeah, I have like a few brands that I know that it fits me, and like I get the petite, the whatever P size, and like otherwise it's really hard to even like shop, especially a D2C brand.
Totally. And I think it's also like taking the risk, swiping your credit card, being willing to do the whole return on the back end and whatever. And I think that's kind of the inconvenience of like the endless aisle that is e-commerce. But I hope that like we're pushing on wholesale. That is the other piece, is so that, you know, people can go to a blah, blah, blah near them, try it on, and they might not have everything, but at least they can start to be anchored in our sizing and in our fit proposition. So that's really the goal for 2026 is more wholesale, launching a fit tool on our website so that we can really kind of guide her through that. Because I do it in the messages right now. Like I have a process that I do when people reach out to me like, what size am I? Some of them are like super well like trained and ready to go. They'll give me their measurements, which is obviously like the most exact. Not everyone knows their measurements, but people that have a hard time finding clothes that fit actually do, which is awesome. So with that, I can figure it out very quickly, or I'll ask them like, what size are they typically in whatever. Usually sometimes they tell me the brand, sometimes they don't. And I'm usually I just know the product so well that I can say, okay, in this one you're this, in this one you're that. I'm not really sure you should order 2 sizes, so on and so forth. So kind of like figuring out how to scale that.
Yeah. And obviously you're in New York now and you started in LA. Why did you make the move back, and what has been kind of the difference in running a company in both cities?
It's a really good question. So right as I was starting Nelle, I met my partner. He's also from New York City. when I moved to LA, I was like in an office, super young, wonderful office. And then when I started my company, I was like alone in my house all day.
And you're a solo founder too.
And I'm a solo founder. He also works remotely. So we were both kind of like
What are we
alone
doing
in our
here?
houses all day. We didn't have that much community because like I moved for a job and I had a bunch of friends, but then like I wasn't in that job anymore. And then people, like, it's a very transient city, kind of like New York.
Mhm.
And like our families are here and everyone I've ever met in my life is here. And at a certain point, we were moving in together and it was kind of like, okay, do we do like another 3 years in California? Or is this actually like the exit ramp off the highway? And we took the exit ramp off the highway. I was also, I'm in like my early 30s. It's like wedding season. I was on a plane back to New York between work. The fashion industry is obviously based in New York. Between work and like weddings, I was on a plane like every 10 days. And California's far.
It's far.
I'm half French, so I go to like back to Europe a lot. And it was like
that's a long
13
trip.
hours. And
So
I was like,
far.
I
California
can't keep
to Europe.
doing this.
Yeah.
And so it started to feel like living there didn't make sense anymore. And I miss LA every day.
Really?
Yeah.
As a New Yorker?
As a New Yorker, I miss LA every day. I think somebody just asked me to like write about my experience. I don't know. It's in this magazine called Elephant, I think. Write about my experience moving back from LA to New York and like what that did for me and what I learned. And I think life is easier when it's sunny every day. Like everything feels easier, but like home is where your people are. And at the end of the day, like my people just weren't in LA.
Mhm.
And I have like 2 really close friends still. And we see each other all the time. They're also not from LA. So like one's from Chicago, one's from New York City. So like we're all kind of crossing paths and whatever. And I go back a lot and I miss the lifestyle. I had a house.
Totally.
Yeah. Near the
Um,
beach.
You know, we were outside all the time. We played tennis year round. And I miss it a lot. But at the end of the day, like, you know, my sister's nearby, my mom is nearby, his parents, his siblings are nearby. My dad's in Florida. Like, it's just a lot easier. All my friends from high school, college, everything. I just feels good to be back with your people.
And you mentioned like obviously fashions in
And
New
fashion's
York,
obviously
so-
here. Yeah, I would say we moved more for personal reasons.
Yeah.
But it works.
There's
But
fashion in LA too.
it definitely worked. And I think that it was amazing to be in LA when I was developing the product because I was in the factory morning, noon, and night. But now, where the business is today, our designer's actually, she's not in LA, but she's on the West Coast, so she's on their time zone. And like she really talks to them more than I do. And I have somebody, like, we have a quality control process. We go and we spec the jeans when they come off the production line. Like, I wouldn't be doing that. Like, I'm not equipped. I don't know how to do that. So somebody else, like quality control person, goes and does that for us, and so on and so forth. So like my need for proximity with our like factory kind of decreased as time went on.
For
And
sure.
so, and like the need for me to be here for like market, buyer meetings, random stuff. And I actually like, this isn't I don't know. I'm going to say it anyways. I like the founder community in New York
Mhm.
better. I think it was an easier like transition for me.
Yeah, especially within consumer.
Within consumer and fashion specifically, there's a lot of wellness in LA. There's a lot of beauty. There's barely any fashion. Like a couple things, but they're way more mature brands.
Mm.
You know,
Totally.
like Reformation, Set Active, all of that. And like I wasn't, you know, doing that yet.
Yeah.
And I'm still not doing that yet. So I think there was like no one kind of building at my stage. Whereas here, I feel like I have a very nice group of peers that are not necessarily in fashion, but just at this place.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And it's really important, especially if you're a solo founder.
For sure. For sure. And no, for sure. I think obviously why we started building Womansplain here too. So I mean, we felt inspired. And everything is just a lot closer versus LA. Like I'm from California, I understand.
Oh, really?
It's like,
Cool.
yeah. Like it's just spread out.
Yeah.
So it's like New York is so congested with the ups and downs of that,
Mhm.
you know, as well. I want to go back a little bit and talk about, I think it's super interesting that you went through the traditional PR strategy, giving an emerging petite denim D2C brand. How did you make that decision? I think that's quite interesting.
It's
And
really funny.
you kind of bridged it with influencer gifting.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty traditional choice. And you kind of have the least traditional brand ever. So I would love to just like talk about
Touche.
that.
You know, some decisions are a function of like being bootstrapped.
Yeah.
And I think when I launched Nelle, there was a huge focus when you were raising money and whatever to not be reliant on Meta. This was like a post iOS 14 world that we were living in. And now things have like stabilized a little. Now everyone's just used to it being expensive. I think at the time it was shocking. I often think about the Bombas founder who said somewhere that it'd be very difficult for him to start that business today because they benefited greatly from being able to acquire a customer for 25 cents to sell a pair of socks, right? And I had seen how that like impacted things at Bala too. It's like they weren't actually that reliant on ads, but I just remember like when the cost increased, everyone was like, whoa. And so I didn't want to be like at like beholden to that. And organic growth was like hot. So I was like, I'm gonna grow organically. Also, I had no money. I launched the business. I'd set out to raise $400,000. I had raised 90, and I just got antsy, and I just said, let's go.
That was like friends and family.
It was mostly people I've worked with and for. Some friends and family. They are friends and family, but it's like mostly like old bosses from different companies and like mentors and stuff like that.
I mean, when was this? Like 2022, 3?
I had the idea in November of 22 and I launched in November of 23. So, and I started like taking capital in like March of 23.
Yeah.
I think I got my first check February or March. That got me like my first sample.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't have the money to pay for the production. I had to sell the jeans.
Yeah.
I did pre-orders. So I did these like pre-launch events. I did one in New York and one in LA. Invited everyone I had ever spoken to. And I was like, come try these jeans for 2 reasons. Number one was somebody other than me has to put them on before I order 600 of them, obviously. Like, that's crazy. And 2, I was like, if you like them, you can buy them now. And like, we're close enough that like, I'm good for it. And so that's what I did. So I think we did like a total across the 2 events, we did like maybe 10 or 12K. So that was like a solid chunk of the production. And then the rest, it had to happen. I remember calling my dad so nervous. And I was like, Dad, like, if I don't sell anything, like, you got me. I'm very lucky. I have an incredibly supportive partner. Couldn't do this without him. Couldn't do this without my parents. My dad was like, just focus on getting the thing live. We'll take care of it. And luckily, he didn't have to pay for the production. So
yeah,
that's amazing.
We sold
Honestly,
the stuff.
Honestly,
we sold the stuff, but that's I was like shitting my pants. Like it was like it was not
it's
a
hard.
joke.
I
took a big risk.
Real life.
Fully.
No, like honestly, I mean, consumer is hard enough, right? It's like the hardest place to possibly found a brand. Fashion harder. Jeans crazy. Solo founder. I mean, I feel like you're picking the
odds are
hardest
just
things.
against you.
There's a reason it hasn't
People
existed.
told me not to do it.
I mean, there's a reason it hasn't existed now. Do you know? Until now, like,
I think that every day.
And you're like, which is crazy, but it's true. It's like there's a lot of short people. There's a lot of tiny, petite women.
Half of
yeah,
women.
I mean, and like I would say the percentage of women that struggle to find jeans, 95. I mean, like there's a reason it's hard.
Totally.
So it's an amazing thing that you started. It's obviously a problem needed to be solved, but like it's scary.
But that's what it was. That's literally what it was.
And did you it's 5'4" and under, right?
Yes, so it's
and
half of women.
That's the half.
That's a stat. Globally, it's half of women are 5'3" and under. In the US, half of women are 5'4" and under. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's not nothing.
Yeah, for sure.
25% of the population. Yeah, I don't think that's nothing.
Yeah, it's a big market.
No, 50%.
But yeah, big TAM.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, I mean, obviously, when you were launching influencer marketing, and even to this day, is such a good advertising revenue venue. And were people just kind of like posting it on like social media?
Yeah.
And it like was very organic.
Totally. People were posting it on Instagram. And I think at the time it was like this new thing, you know? Like it was, oh my God, somebody made jeans for me. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what we are selling at the end of the day. Some people thought at the beginning that it was bespoke.
Wow.
And I was like, no, it's not bespoke, but it feels bespoke.
Yeah.
I mean, the name Nelle Atelier kind of sounds
totally.
like
And that was like part of obviously that branding decision, but I think it really speaks to the product and how like well it does fit. And so that was something we kind of glommed onto very early on, is that like feeling of custom made without being custom.
Yeah.
And so you launch, you have these events, you launch, you sell out, I guess.
Yeah, we sold out pretty quickly. I had to reorder, I guess, for spring. So like by whatever, I launched in November. By March, I needed new products. So yeah, we sold like 600 jeans.
Wow.
That's wild. How did you think about sizing too? I know obviously it's like a large group of women. I mean, I don't know. That's a really complicated decision for any brand.
Totally, really hard. I'll start by saying that like I am excited for the day where we can offer more extended sizing. Right now we're 23 to 32. We had to add 23 because we realized that our customer was on like there was a need at that end of the spectrum. I think there's also a need at the other end of the spectrum, and it's something that we're working towards. It's just our business is so SKU intensive, and
Yeah.
it would require like a different fit model and like a bunch of the other stuff. And I think it's not worth doing if you can't do it right. And so again, it's another thing that we're excited to do when we have like the money.
I know. I mean, obviously inventory is complicated. Ordering
Totally.
different
And
sizing.
denim is hard because it's 10
Yeah.
SKU. It's 10 sizes, right?
Yeah.
So we have to figure that out. And you know, if something comes in small, it screws up the whole buy, right?
Totally.
So it's very finicky. It's very difficult to get right. And we're still like, that's a work in progress. We're still working on it.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously your customer is loving it, so you have to kind of target it to
Totally.
that and who they are. And so after you launch, you sell kind of your first one, you pre-order. What happens then? What's like the next? I mean, what was the moment I guess you were like, wow, this is actually really successful and it's growing, and you're like, wow.
I
it kind
think
of
when I
struck a
was able
chord.
to like pay that first like PO with sales, I was like, okay, we're doing it. And then the press kind of kept rolling. We did a bunch more events. I brought on a designer, which was great to kind of like clean up everything and develop some new like product. We got a lot of inbound from different wholesale. So we started doing that and like meeting those people and talking to them and whatnot. And I started to really kind of like figure out how to grow this thing.
Yeah. I mean, and then we talked a little bit about you being a solo founder and how
Mhm.
that is very difficult.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to do it alone? And what has been like the biggest challenge of your journey so far being a solo founder?
Yeah, I don't think I really decided to do it alone. I think that like no one materialized to do it with me. And I think it's very hard to come up with something on your own. And then, I mean, I guess people do it all the time. How do you bring someone into that?
Yeah.
I think both people kind of have to be there from the get go to really feel like equal partners. And I have like an innate sense of urgency. So once I had the idea, it was like go, go, go. I launched the business in 11 months.
Oh, wow.
Idea to like go live. So, you know, there wasn't so much time spent like wondering about anything,
Mhm.
honestly. To answer your other question, like what's the hardest part? Obviously it's incredibly lonely, not in the sense that like I don't feel supported by like my friends, my family, my partner, but every problem is your problem. If there's no money in the bank, it's coming out of your bank account. And like obviously sometimes I'm like, "Oh wow, it would be nice to like share that weight with someone." But then on the flip side, I think it would inherently make it hard to move as quickly as I do. Like I have a lot of freedom
Mhm.
to kind of like get it done. That I think if you have to run stuff by someone or like negotiate on everything or whatever, um, is harder.
Yeah. And then have you raised?
I've raised $290,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
How
over
is-
3 years.
Oh,
Congrats.
okay.
Yeah,
Congrats.
thanks.
Really hard.
How has that journey been?
I mean, you know, you said it earlier. I grew up in direct to consumer in like these very, very, I would probably fair to say, overfunded businesses.
They were at the peak of funding. It was
Yeah.
a different.
Yeah.
It was a different
Casper, Bala.
time.
It was. I mean, it was like
well,
everyone
Bala
was throwing
actually,
money. Yeah.
they just really took the Shark Tank money.
Mm.
But Casper obviously like money grew on trees.
Yeah.
It felt like at the time. And growth at all costs, profitability who. And I started my business right as that inflection point was kind of like we're moving away from that. And so I knew we're still not fully profitable if I'm being candid. But I knew I needed to like I was never going to be able to raise like anything close to what they raised. And then I think what I've suffered from is also like kind of people shying away from consumer.
Yeah, totally.
Like that's not in like replenishables or subscription based businesses. Like if you really look at what's getting funded today in the consumer space, like a lot of food, a lot of like wellness supplements, stuff like that, and beauty. And why is that? It's because it's like heavy replenishment businesses. So like hopefully if you're doing your job right, once you acquire that customer, they're coming back and back and back and back again. We actually have a little bit of that because we're kind of her
Like,
only
where is our intention
option.
is wild.
Totally. Like our repeat rate is really high. So yeah, fundraising is really challenging for like, sub $5 million in revenue apparel brand. So
I
we've
mean,
kind of bootstrapped it. Like I've
Yeah.
kind of had to be, I'm like so scrappy. It's not even funny. I treat my P&L as my report card. Every dollar, like I know where every dollar in that business is. And I think it forces a lot of the benefit is that it forces a lot of creativity and that it forces a lot of like accountability, and in a way that I think is healthy for the long term.
Yeah. And I guess what are you most excited for in 26 and beyond for now?
Yeah, I'm excited that I get to like keep doing this. That's the first thing. I'm excited for some of our new fall stuff that's coming. I'm excited for some of the wholesale partners we're talking to globally. So like we're talking to people in France and in Japan, and I think it'd be really cool to have the brand in those types of places, like outside of the US. And the fact that it resonates globally is really kind of a cool thing. Working on this fit tech product that I'm really excited about, that I think would be really like game changing for us and um, in the long term. So yeah, a lot going on.
So exciting.
Well, congratulations on everything you've accomplished,
Thank you.
obviously. And obviously you're solving a real problem for so many women and yourself. And I think it's something we can all relate to. And have an incredible story. We always end on this question. We have young listeners. What advice would you give a young person looking to start their own company?
It's a really good question. I've been thinking about it. I'm gonna give like 2 pieces of advice. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
For every like glamorous, amazing founder and founder story that you see on social media, there's like 100 that are really struggling that you're not seeing. And if you don't like to struggle, like that is the name of this game. I think I saw all of the shiny objects very early on, and I realized like how difficult it actually is. And so I would be like very prepared for that. And on the flip side, it's like the most rewarding, freeing, fulfilling thing I could ever do. So it's like it's a real balance of things. So like be prepared for like really tough times and really hard work, but also for like the most gratifying and satisfying experience of like your life.
Okay.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This has been awesome. Where can we find you?
So you can find us on NelleAtelier.com, Nelle Atelier on Instagram, Madeleine and Nelle Atelier on TikTok. I'm on Substack, but it's called Winging It. I've tried every platform, clearly, as you can tell.
No, I love your Substack
Well, I think it's important to I felt like there was not enough people talking about how hard it is to be a founder while they were in it. I think we hear a lot of founder stories of like it was really hard and then now it's amazing.
$1 billion company.
And correct. And I think that like we need more voices talking about the messy middle. Because that's where the insights are, the growth happens, and that's how you get to that outcome. But I think we're missing it if we're only talking about it once it's resolved. So that's why I write that.
I think you just pitched us. I
Yeah.
don't know. Our entire goal. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone, thank you so much for listening. As always, we are Womansplain Pod on all socials, and email us hello@womansplainpod.com with any questions. And if you're a petite girly, get Nelle Atelier.
Try now.
Thanks, guys.